This is one of our blue lupin species in Montana, and this one is a dominant species in this landscape. Interesting because lupin is also relatively toxic and poisonous. And so it's something that you don't want to be picking or touching. And if you do, wash your hands for sure.
Is it okay to pick or touch flowers that aren't toxic?
We like to leave the flowers for everyone to enjoy. And so many, you don't know which flowers are toxic and which ones aren't. So it's really good to leave everything just to be on the safe side. Here we have one of our exotic and I shouldn't say exotic plants because this is a native plant, but one of our exotic orchids, exotic looking orchids here in Wayfarers Park. This is our spotted coral root, and you can see the little spots on the lip of the flowers. This is actually a parasitic plant, and this is one that's a little different. It helps to break down the dead wood and the debris in the forest floor. So it's a really valuable plant to help the breakdown of old material. This is a very interesting plant. This is one of our camas, and this one is one of our death camises. This is called common death camas, and yes, it's called death camas for a reason. It can be toxic.
Is death camas poisonous to animals as well as humans?
Yes, it is, Sarah. It very much is, and especially to livestock. It can be poisonous to livestock. I think dogs would probably avoid it along the trail, but it's another one of those plants that is highly recommended that that children don't pick or touch, or any of us, not just children, but I know as a child I love to pick wildflowers, and it's hard because we don't know which ones are poisonous and which ones aren't, so it's good to avoid picking all of them. So we have some orange paintbrush in this open area right here, along with many other native things, but the orange paintbrush, is an interesting plant because paintbrush is parasitic on other plants, and it actually draws its nutrient and water. It sends out its roots and draws its nutrient and water from plants beside it. So if paintbrush looks really nice and fresh in places and other plants look a little weak around it, that's because it's taken advantage of them, especially when weather dries out. That's one of its survival techniques.
And even though it's a parasitic plant, is this a native plant?
Yes, it is. We have a number of parasitic plants in Montana. But the orange is lovely in here. Typically you'll see more reds and pinks in paintbrush, but the orange is really beautiful in this landscape. So now we have the lupin in bloom. A few days of sunshine makes a big difference in what happens to all these beautiful native plants. So come join us on the trails at Wayfarers and wander the trails and appreciate all the native plants that are giving us such delight these days.